Hey, beautiful souls.
Welcome to Bitter to Beautiful. I am Coach Charmin D, energetic, heartfelt, and always keeping it real.
And I'm Coach Lonette, more reserved, tenacious, honest, and a little funny,
Together, we're here to guide you through transforming your bitterness.
into something truly beautiful. Join us on this journey of healing and empowerment. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Bitter to Beautiful with me, Coach Lonette, and our beloved Coach Charmin D. So let's get started with today's episode, Budding Potential, Undeveloped Resilience, where we're focusing on examining the initial stages of resilience that often go unnoticed, but are crucial for our personal growth. So budding potential refers to the inherent abilities and strengths that a person that are present but not fully developed in an individual. It's about it's the promise of what we can be, much like a bud before it blooms into a flower. Undeveloped resilience points to those early formative responses to adversity, when you go through things and, the initial response that are essential for building a robust, resilient character. Coach Charmin?
Hey, everyone. We are thrilled to explore how we can nurture our budding potential and develop resilience. Throughout our discussion, we will explore examples of budding potentials from everyday life, such as encountering different types of losses and initial attempts at coping, and where resilience starts as a fragment desire to overcome challenges and gradually mature into defining strength. Together, we will learn how to nurture this budding potential within ourselves and others, understanding that resilience isn't born fully formed. Is not born fully formed, be clear, but is captivated through experiences and choices. We hope to inspire you in recognizing and fostering the seed of resilience in your life, encouraging you to grow through what you go through. Coach Lonette?
All right, thanks, Coach Sharman. Coach Sharman. To get started, let's reflect on a scripture that emphasizes the importance of resilience. So we decided to go with 1 Peter, verses 6 through 7, and we're reading part of verse 7. So be truly glad, there is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Now it said a little while. A little while to the Lord is not always our little while. As we go through that, you'll understand. A little while can mean an hour, it can mean a day, it can mean a year, it can mean 3 years, it can mean for some people 40 years. But it depends on what the lesson is that you need to get so that you can grow and blossom. So just as a bud holds the promise of a blooming flower, these early adversities can contain the potential to strengthen and reveal the robust character within us all. In today's discussion, we'll explore how these formative responses to adversity are not merely obstacles, but are essential opportunities for growth. They help us to develop the resilience that characterizes a mature and steadfast spirit, ready to blossom into its full potential. This scripture encourages us to embrace these challenges with joy and faith, knowing that they are forming a more resilient and praiseworthy character within us.
I chuckled when we say a little while. Endure many trials for a little while, and it is in God's time. And let me just tell you, let me just give advice. Don't fight it, just go through it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. let me tell you, the storm will end. Just like when it rains, it comes to an end, the storm will end. But you got to go through it. If you don't go through it, you might be repeating it over and over again. And remember, a little while is in God's time. It can be a little while or a little while or longer while. Who knows? There is that's a powerful reminder that our trials can lead to growth and maturity. Budding potential represents the initial stages of growth, with individuals beginning to demonstrate their capabilities and promises. Wait, let me repeat that. Budding potential represents the initial stages of growth, where individuals begin to demonstrate their capabilities and promise. Recognizing and nurturing this potential is critical for helping them realize their full potential and achieve future success, which means there's a reason why you're going through something. It is for you to grow, and the only way for you to grow is you to go through it. Just think about it like that. I mean, I don't know if it's going to help, but I mean, think about it. Okay, developing resilience is essential for navigating life challenges efficiently. It enables individuals to recover from adversities and continue to grow, ultimately leading to a more fulfilled and balanced life. Now, let's discuss 4 keys of applications for developing resilience. Coach Lonette.
So before we get started with applications, let's have some dialogue here, right? So let's reflect on how we've actually applied these principles in our lives. So Coach Charmin, can you share a personal experience where you felt your resilience was just beginning to develop, and how did that situation shape the person that I know today?
How about I didn't even know what resilience was? I gotta be honest and transparent. After discovering, and I've shared this before, and I'm not gonna go in detail regarding it. It'll be a completely separate episode. But after discovering infidelity in my marriage, not once, not twice, but this time, I was devastated. I felt like my life was coming to an end. The emotions, I was struggling. I didn't understand again what I was going through. I didn't even know how to cope at some point. So I had so many questions, but I realized that I had to shut my ear to all of the advice, especially the advice that wasn't coming from God. So I had to seek God. And God said to me, He dropped it in my spirit. The 4th thing He said, the 4th word He gave about who I was, because the first word was worthy, courageous, faithful. He said that I was resilient. Can I tell y'all? I was like, what? Resilient? Who is it? Not me. I literally text somebody. I text my mentor and said, God said I was resilient. I don't know what God is talking about. I'm not resilient. And she was like, look up the word, sis. I said, wait, what do you mean? And I realized that I'm resilient, because basically it shows you how you bounce back. How do you recover after dealing with challenges? Although I felt stuck because of the situation, I was still functioning. I was moving. I had bounced back. Now, what did that look like? I had to get true understanding what the word resilient meant first. And it basically meant, again, bouncing back and recovering, and how I dealt with life situations. This led me to understand that I needed to learn how to acknowledge and process emotions, seek support, focus on self-care, set boundaries. Can I say that again? Listen, I'm still working on setting boundaries. I just want to be clear. Set boundaries. Can I tell you that when I get older, I want to be like Coach Lonette, because she can set a boundary. I'm just telling you, she's awesome at it. And listen, as I joke, setting boundaries is very important. Reflect and learn, make empowerment decisions, practice forgiveness. I had to forgive. I couldn't be stuck. You can't be stuck because God has forgiven you. So I had to forgive. Stay positive and be future focused. Think on what the future is to come. Because sometimes when you sit in stuff, it makes you stuck. So I had to be future focused. Through these actions, what made me to become the person that I am today, the individual that I am today, is being able to navigate through the pain of it And what it did was it allowed me to emerge stronger, more self-aware, and ready to embrace new opportunities in my relationships, new opportunities in understanding who I was as a person, believing what God said to me, that He said that I was worthy, courageous, faithful, resilient, more than a conqueror. Believing that's what I had to sit with, and that's what helped me change and become the woman that I am today. Because the woman that I am today is because of God, and I'm telling you, it's not me. Coach Lonette, in your view, what are some common misunderstandings about resilience? Because I'm telling you, I misunderstood. I didn't know, especially in the early stages. And how can we address these misconceptions with our listeners?
Well, before I answer that question, you said a lot of key things in your response, and you said that you wanted to be like me for setting boundaries. I am still learning how to set boundaries, but that did not come easy when I started to put them into place. As a people pleaser, as someone who loves to help everyone, it became a common theme and a common role in my life. And so I had to learn to set boundaries so that I am not overwhelmed, so that I don't regret a yes that I may have made. I've learned to set those boundaries. And, along the way, I've said yes and regretted it. And I didn't always want to fulfill a commitment. And sometimes I didn't, if I'm honest. Even though I tried to fulfill my commitments, some things just became overwhelming. And I did not want to live my life like that. So I began to take time away. I began to stop and really think. I started saying, instead of saying yes right away, I started saying, I'll get back to you, or let me pray about it, or I'll put it under consideration, or I'll check my schedule. And I started doing things like that. And I was really intentional about thinking about if I wanted to say yes or no. And then there's other ways to set boundaries as well, for your time with your family, time to do the work, time to do something extracurricular, whatever it is. Learning to set boundaries may be difficult for you, and sure, it'll be difficult for other people too that are not used to you setting those boundaries. But it's so important for your own development, your own mental, emotional, and spiritual states and phases that you're in. It's very important that we learn to set boundaries. But you also talked about practicing forgiveness. You talked about, even after going through things, how you emerge stronger. And it's so important that even while we're going through different things, that our focus is not on what the current thing is. The focus is that after this, you'll be better, you'll be stronger, you'll be wiser, you'll be more self-aware, and you're able to, my hope, and I hope that everyone would take the lessons learned and pay it forward. So now that you've got the lesson, pay it forward to someone else who may need it, because you'll be the first one to notice when someone is struggling in the same area that you were before, right? And even if you're still a work in progress, you can now identify, hey, this person has the same struggle as I had or I did. Be careful with codependency. You don't want to match struggles and compare. You need someone stronger to help you through that. But it's so important that you know that after this, it's only for a little while. And again, your little while may be different than someone else's little while. It may be different, but just think about the outcome. Think about what's on the other side. So now, did you want to add something, Coach Charmin?
That little while is just it's just tickling me, that little while. But go ahead, you continue. I'm Coach Lonette.
Okay, so let's see. To answer your question about misunderstandings about resilience, so Growing up, especially starting in my adolescence, I used to hear a lot, Lonette, you're resilient. Oh my gosh, you're resilient. Before I really understood what the word meant, I was like, okay, thank you. I guess it was a compliment, you know. Um, but I saw myself in one way, and I learned others saw myself as another way. I thought that I was just going through a lot of things, and I didn't think it to be a good thing. It was in my adolescent years, it was good, but I also had a lot of sensitive moments, if you will. In my adolescence, I experienced my parents' divorce. I experienced separation. My family got separated. And I was very angry. And it wasn't just me being, rageful or anything. It just came out in different ways. I was always quiet. I considered myself to be a good-natured child person, but it began to flesh out in different ways, but I was able to bounce back. And again, the definition for resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties or being tough, right? So some misconceptions about resilience is that it's innate. So many believe that resilience is a trait that people are either born with or without. Resilience actually is more dynamic, and it can be developed over time. So if you think of a child who's learning to walk, they start off holding on to things and, maybe crawling around or using furniture or even you to try to move around. But then they fall, right? Resilience is, I know there's something I should be doing, and I see all these other people doing it around me, walking, right? I want to be able to do that too. So babies they probably don't even think that way. They're just determined. They have a determination to do that thing that they see on the other side. And what they want to do is, instead of going crawling and holding on to people, they begin to walk. Right? But it takes some falling. It takes hopefully not too many bumps and bruises, but it takes some toughness to say, let me keep trying. I'm going to keep trying because I actually know what's on the other side of this. I'm going to walk. And then if you ever seen a child, a baby, no matter when they start walking, then they're independent. They don't want your help. They don't want you to hold their hand. There's no hand holding. They're gone. And once they start running, forget about it. That's when you will get your exercise and start running after them. So it involves learned behaviors, thoughts, and actions that can be cultivated through experiences and intentional practice. Resilient people, another misconception is that resilient people don't feel pain or grief. Now, for one that has dealt with emotions for, if I can say, all my life, sometimes people see people who are, and I'm doing air quotes, strong, are not meant to feel pain, but we're all human, and we're meant to feel, there's a balance, but we're meant to feel the emotions that we were given. It's okay to feel hurt, to feel pain, to feel disappointment, and other feelings that you feel, and they're valid, right? But resilient people get hurt too. Resilient people feel pain, they feel grief, right? But these are the stages, right, that we're talking about, the initial stages and the early stages. If you've never lost a loved one and it's the first time happening, you're in an undeveloped stage of resilience where you've not experienced that loss before, but you're going to go through it, and then you build resilience over time through the grief process. So resilient people feel distress and emotional pain, but are better equipped to manage and recover from these feelings. They don't avoid or deny emotions, but rather acknowledge and work through them. Speaking of grief, there's different stages of grief I don't recall all of them off the top of my head, but there's stages there. And everyone goes through the different stages where sometimes people are shocked and can't react. Sometimes people cry and you cry for days, weeks, some people months and years because it really hurts them. But the art of building the resilience is knowing that I have to be able to bounce back because life happens after this. And some things, sometimes it helps knowing that the person that you may have lost would not want to see you grieving over them for so long, but to go on and do what you are supposed to do. Right? Another misconception, it means that you're going at it alone. Right? You don't have to be resilient and isolated or separated from everyone. Some people think that resilient means handling problems without help. On the contrary, one of the hallmarks of resilient individuals is their ability to seek out support and assistance when needed. They recognize their strength and vulnerability and the importance of a support network. I think of the scripture that talks about there's safety in the multitude of counsel. And then you're supposed to get wise counsel, right? Not someone who hasn't, you don't want to go to someone, if you're grieving, you don't want to go to someone that's never experienced grief or loss, right? While they can try to have, I want to make sure I get them right, sympathy, they may not have empathy because they have not, forgive me if I mix them up, because they have not gone through it, right? So don't go through grief alone, especially in different problems. Go to someone who's wiser, who's overcome something, to get some wisdom from them. It's not a fixed quality. Another common misconception is that once you're resilient, you're always resilient. That's not true, because different trials and situations may come up that you've never experienced before. They can fluctuate depending on various factors, including levels of stress, physical health, social support. It requires continuous effort and adaptation. I just shared recently with Coach Charmin a stressor that I had some years ago, where we're trying to lose some weight, y'all. And there was a time where within a month's time, I went down. It was about a month and a half. I went down 4 sizes because of the stress that put me through. I went through a deep hurt, and we'll talk about that soon, but not today. And I lost so much weight because I didn't have an appetite. At that time, I was still known as being resilient, but that circumstance nearly took me out. I don't know if I was coming or going. I didn't have sleep. I couldn't eat. But eventually, over time, with encouragement, with a community of people that surrounded me and supported me in a way that I'm grateful for to this day, I was able to bounce back, and it took some time. I want to say it took about 6 months for me to bounce back, right? So that little while for me, those 6 months seemed like forever. They seem like forever and a day. So it's not fixed. Different things can breed different reactions. Another misconception is that it means that you're constantly strong. It leads to the belief that resilient people must always appear to be strong or stoic. However, true resilience involves flexibility and the ability to adapt to circumstances, which can sometimes mean admitting not being okay and adjusting one's approach to challenges. I also recently shared with Coach Charmin that, even experiencing something this week alone, sometimes my response is not to deal with it and just get busy, right? but I've learned to sit in my emotions, not stay there, and feel what I feel. Identify my feelings. I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm confused. I don't understand. Why does this happen? I've learned to also vent to people that will understand and not judge me according to my feelings that I'm feeling in that moment. Because those strong people that you see have weak moments too. And they have to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. And if you're not that person that they can listen to, know that that's not your strength. And maybe consider directing them to someone who does have that strength, because I can imagine what I went through this week, and I vented to the wrong person. It could have sent me somewhere where I did not need to go. So it's very important that, and I'm going to talk to the strong people, find your tribe that will allow you to vent and be you and not judge you for feeling the way you feel because of whatever situation may arise. And then resilience does not eliminate stress, right? Resilience provides better tools for managing and responding to stress, but it does not eliminate it. Resilient individuals understand how to balance stress and recover to maintain overall being. It is a process. It is not, I'm going through today and tomorrow I'm going to be resilient. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that at all. You have to decide, okay, and this is something that I posed a number of times. This is what I asked myself to identify my feelings. What is this? Why is it bothering me? And what is it causing me to do? Coach Charmin?
You said so much, and I had so many points that I would jump in, like right there. But one of the things that the misconception of the person who's resilient is strong, that hit me, because I have a very strong demeanor about me. My personality is very strong, and then that's why I didn't believe when God dropped resilient on me, and I didn't believe it, because I'm like, well, I'm strong, but does that mean that I bounce back quickly? Does that mean that I'm able to process through things faster? Does that mean that? And I didn't believe it, but then I realized what it meant, and now I see that it does mean that. But it also does, just as it says, is a misconception that resilient people are not always strong. They can't. Some of the things that we get hit with, it's intense, and it varies on how resilient you're going to be in that situation. So just be mindful of that, because sometimes we'll take the definition of what we believe something is, and we'll apply it to somebody else. So we have to be mindful of that. So Coach Lonette, in terms of support systems, what roles do you think friends and family play in helping someone captivate their resilience during early stages? What do you think that looks like? Because friends and family, they probably be the one that be attaching stuff, like thinking in their head how you should be. And yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Go ahead, you guys.
Familiar. I don't know why I can't say this word. I know the word.
Familiarity.
Familiarity breeds contempt. So there are some times when people are too close to the situation, but this goes to wisdom again, right? You got to know in what situation, whether you're married, if you know that your parents are not going to breathe life into the situation, or they don't like your spouse or a significant other, they're probably not the best people to talk to, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe try your aunt, maybe try a minister, a church leader, try a counselor, social worker, a co-worker, if you have that relationship, somebody with wisdom. If someone is telling you something negative all the time, it's probably not wisdom. Right? Go to someone who who will see both sides of the picture and not be biased. You want to make sure that they're able to hear both sides of the story clearly. Someone that's able to read in between the lines and even hear what you're not saying. Those are the people that I love to talk to, because I could be saying and venting, and they'll ask me questions that cause me to think about myself, about the situation, and about the other person or people that are involved. I love speaking to people that will pull my coat tag and tell me that I'm wrong. I love speaking to people that will, well, that's checking, that will give me another perspective outside of my own, that will kind of lighten the load for me, because of my emotions. My emotions can drive me to a place where they really don't have to go, right? Coach Charmin does it all the time with me, and I love it, and I love her for it, right? So you're going to need to find someone to help support you in whatever state you're in. If you're broken and you're just weepy and you can't find the words, if you find the words and you're just venting and your emotions are all over the place, if you are in need of wise counsel, you may want to consider, there are people who are in your peer group that may have wisdom, or you can find someone that is older and more experienced, right? Who has the wisdom for you. And if they have the word, the Bible, the word of God in them, ooh, yes, then you're gonna go places when you have somebody like that in your life, right? It is so important that if you are the friend or the family member that is supporting, know your role. Know when to step back. Know when you are trying to play God, because we're not, right? And you're saying things that you probably should not say, or something that may not be wise to thine own self be true. If you don't walk in wisdom, if you're wise in your own eyes, be careful the advice that you give to people, especially if you have not gone through it. I have a conversation with someone about working with young people and how sometimes there is an issue with those that work with young people who have children and those that do not have children, right? From my experience of working with young people before I had children and after I had children, there were some insights that I could provide before I had children to parents because of things that I saw as a child or experienced as a child. But now that I'm a parent, I have two different insights, because I'm actually not just working with with youth. I have young people. I have children myself. And so there's a different dynamic. So if you play your role and play the role of according to your experience, and your experience could be what your parents did, what you saw as a great example of resilience. But we have to use wisdom in cultivating and supporting people. Know what best way you can support. If it's through just sitting down quietly and not saying a word, just being there and spending quality time, be that support. If your support is giving wisdom, be that support. If your support is saying, hey, let's go out for a walk, let's go dance, let's go have an outlet to shake this off, you play your role. You have to know what role you play, and it may differ with different people in different situations that you encounter. You have to know your role. You have to know when you can pick up the phone and call and pray, or like I do sometimes, leave a voice note and leave a prayer. That's just as effective, right? But know your role. And if you're going to play the part, play it all the way through. Don't quit on someone when they need you, especially when they're going through, because that can cause some delay in someone's resilience. So just know your role. So let's talk about, did you have something to add there, Coach Charmin?
Right on. Everything that you said was right. Know your role. And also, sometimes it's key in help in with your friendships and with your relationships. With asking, it's nothing wrong with asking what your role is. Sometimes you may have to say to somebody, okay, so do you want me to just sit here and be quiet? I could be quiet, won't say nothing, let you vent, just get it out. I'm here. But yeah, listen. Or do you want me to comment? Because sometimes the unwanted comments may frustrate you, but I'm just saying that just with me. But sometimes I believe it's okay to ask what you want of that, what that person wants, what they need. What do they need of you? How should you respond? Should you just be, just still and just listen? So it's important to know your role, but it's also okay for you to ask, what role do you want me to play in this? So, Coach Lonette.
That's good. And also you can, if you're the person on the other side, you can ask people to play a certain role.
Mm-hmm.
I need you just identify what you need. And I need you to be the quiet person. I just need to vent. I don't need you to say anything. I don't need advice. I just need to vent. I need to go out and hang out and get this off my mind. You also can take responsibility and know what you need. So let's talk about some application steps. So one is embrace challenges, right? Embrace learning from adversity. An example would be approaching a difficult project at work with enthusiasm and willingness to learn new skills rather than feeling defeated or anxious, right? You can have, one of the scriptures that we have for that is Romans 5:3-4. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. There's a process. There is a process through the sufferings that it produces things, right? But you have to go through it. You got to get to the end. Go to the other side. It's okay. It may hurt. It's not meant to kill you. It's not meant to harm you. It is meant to grow you. So some adversities may be a professional setback. Imagine if you were overlooked for a promotion at work or a situation that initially led to feelings of rejection and self-doubt. You can bounce back. A personal relationship challenge. Suppose you've experienced a falling out with a close friend or family member, which resulted in feelings of anger, betrayal, disappointment, hurt, whatever that can lead to. Maybe you had health issues, right? Where you or a loved one faced a serious health diagnosis, which was initially overwhelming and scary. Take some action by reflecting on your recent challenges that you face and identify what you've learned from each experience. Write the lessons down into a journal and remind yourself of the growth that comes with each trial. And then look at the outcome, right? The outcome, a potential outcome, can be if you regularly reflect on the challenges and the lessons they bring. It can help build a mindset that views difficulties as opportunities for growth, strengthening personal resilience over time. And by embracing these challenges, you build a mindset that turns adversity into opportunities for personal development. Coach Charmin?
Wow, that was amazing information. The next one is practice self-care and mindfulness. Examples of what that means is sitting quiet for 10 minutes every morning, focusing on breathing, setting positive intentions for your day. Another one could be waking up in the morning and spending time in the Word, waking up in the morning and praying, waking up in the morning and going on the 5 a.m. Mompreneur Clubhouse sessions and listening and worshiping and praising. There are multiple things that you can do to practice self-care and mindfulness. The scripture reference is 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, the NIV version. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body. Action. Prioritize self-care and mindfulness. Practice such meditations, praying, and healthy living to maintain physical and emotional well-being. Overcome. Self-care and mindfulness helps you to manage stress and stand your ground, enhancing your ability to balance back from the setbacks. So be mindful. Listen, I start my day with Jesus. Start the day with Jesus, ain't nothing wrong with that. If you start the day with Jesus, it's going to help you to set what your day looks like. Start there. I'm just telling you, this is my thing. Start at 4 a.m. Start the day with Jesus. I'm telling you, it's good. So, Coach Lonette, did you have anything to add?
No, I think that, some people think that self-care is selfish. It is not.
It is not.
It is not selfish. There is a point where it can become selfish, but taking care of yourself is not selfish, right? You have to get the sleep that you need, the water that you need, the proper nutrition that you need. That's self-care, right? You cannot pour from an empty vessel, an empty cup, an empty heart, an empty mind. You have to be poured into as well. Sometimes sitting down and taking those 10 minutes to focus on breathing, some of us are not breathing properly. And I don't think people realize that. We're not breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth because we're so focused on everything else that we don't know how to breathe properly. So I, had to think about, is this mindfulness of God? And, sitting down and breathing, it's okay. Breathing in through your nose, taking 10 minutes. It's not a long time. If you want to start off with 3 or 5, start there. And just sit and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth and control breathing. Just count to 8 and then go up from there, right? Count to 8 each breath, in and out, 8 counts, and breathe. When you're feeling frustrated, when you're going through adversity, take a few minutes, a few seconds, 30 seconds is good, and breathe and sit in that, and you'll begin to hear your thoughts. And if you want to, you'll hear the Lord too speaking. Yes. And calm your spirit, and he'll speak to the situation, and it may be 1, 2, 3 words or more. Sometimes I hear peace be still. And it just makes me sit longer because I'm enjoying the peace, and I'm learning to enjoy the peace. We don't learn to enjoy the peace enough. So self-care can look like getting the rest that you need, having a good diet that nourishes our body, because our bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit, nourishing our minds, whether it's reading a book, including the Bible, reading a book. I'm reading so much more. And I feel empowered with knowledge to back up what I already sense and feel. I have Audible, I have Kindle, I have my books. I love a manual book because I like to annotate and highlight and do, everything. But self-care is okay. Just don't become selfish with it, not wanting to spend time with other people, doing too much for yourself, and you're not taking care of your other responsibilities. Be mindful of that. But get poured into, and take the time for yourself. 10 minutes is not selfish. Sometimes I take 1 day out of a month, and I'm learning to do better for myself, and it's okay, right? But take care of yourself. Coach Charmin?
Yes. Take care of yourself. As we conclude, I wanted to give you guys a heads up that in August, we will be talking in depth about self-care, because self-care ain't just a mani and a pedi. Let me just be clear. I thought it was. Self-care is not just a mani and a pedi, which happens to be very expensive these days, but I'm just saying. Yes, but it's more than that. It means more than that. We need more of that. And Lonette needs more than just a day. Because let me tell you, sis be sistering. I'm telling you, she be doing her thing. So we are going to discuss self-care in detail in August. Our episodes will be about self-care. So please tune in for our August episodes. But today, thank you for joining us today. Remember, developing resilience is a journey that involves embracing challenges, building a supportive community, captivating a growth mindset, and practicing self care. Coach Lonette.
Absolutely, Coach Charmin. I can't wait for August. And, we have a special surprise coming that will help us learn. We're going to really get into self care. We, as women and those men that are listening, really need to learn how to take care of ourselves. It's not only grooming, as Coach Charmin said, but what about the inner you? Right? What about the inner you, your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions, right? You got to consider every part. And even with that, we invite you to look on Facebook and just type it in the Release It Challenge to learn more about some things that we are actually doing to release not only the weight, but the things that are hindering us from progressing. So look up the Release It Challenge. Just Kim would love to see you join our next challenge. It's a 90-day challenge where we're releasing more than weight. So by applying the principles that we learned about today, we can nurture our budding potential and grow stronger through adversity.
Yes, yes, yes. We hope you found this episode inspiring and helpful. Stay tuned for more transformational discussions on Bitter to Beautiful. Until next time, keep growing and blooming beautifully. Peace. Bye-bye.
As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to you, our listeners. Transitioning from bitter to beautiful isn't just a moment, it's a movement, a continuous journey of transforming pain into power, one heart at a time.
And to all our first-time listeners, welcome to the family. We are a community of souls committed to healing, growth, and transformation. Click on the link in the bio to subscribe to our mailing list and tune in every week. When you subscribe, you'll also receive information about our live pop-up rooms on Clubhouse.
As we embrace life's journey and find the beauty in overcoming bitterness, remember, bitterness isn't beautiful, and your healing is just the beginning of a beautiful new chapter.
Don't forget, new episodes are released every Saturday. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Listen Notes, there is a space for you here to find healing, inspiration, and strength.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep embracing the journey, keep healing, and keep transforming. Here's to turning all our bitter experiences into beautiful victories. See you next time.